You getting all that? Oh yeah, you getting this thick boy on camera, bro? Here's a hot take. Video games are fucking dope. It's a controversial opinion, I know. But believe it or not, there are people out there that don't like video games. Lame brain dorks. I mean, yeah, that's their opinion, but it doesn't change the fact that their opinion is wrong, and they're dumb, and they're stupid, and I hate them, and we don't need them anyway. I mean, think about it. Want to play with friends? Mario Kart, Quiplash, Overcooked. Want to take your team to the championship? Madden, FIFA, MLB The Show. Want to shit yourself? Amnesia, Resident Evil 7, that one part in Mario 64 with the piano. Want to build something? Minecraft, Gmod, Factorio. Want to relax? Stardew, Abzu, Subnautica. I think you get my point. Whether you want to travel far and wide to save the princess, or you want to skip straight to the end when you already got the princess, there's a game for everybody. And I, my entire life, have loved strategy games. Those games that really make you go big brain time and brain blast yourself some juice all over the gaming world, all right? Now, strategy games is a very vague statement, so just a couple genres and some history on them, we'll do it like that. The 4X genre, which is a start small, build big, take over the world. Real-time strategy, which would be like your Age of Empires or your StarCraft. Grand strategy, which would be like Hearts of Iron 4, Europa Universalis. Turn-based, things like XCOM, Advance Wars, MOBAs, League of Legends, Dota, Smite. And then there's the category that I call fringe strategy games, which would include things like RimWorld, Kenshi, Mountain Blade Warband. Okay, so the year is 1972, and a game called Invasion just released for the Magnavox Odyssey. Now, Invasion was a weird prototype of a strategy game where the game actually came with a board, which is the game was played on, but the battles that took place between players happened in the actual game on the console there, yeah. Fast forward to 1980, and then there's a game called Computer Bismarck, which is the first strategy game that was released on the PC. It was a port of the board game Bismarck, which was basically just a battle about the historical ship Bismarck. Now, as the 80s came to a close and home consoles and home computers became more powerful and more accessible to the everyday person, we started to see gaming shift away from the arcades and the arcade cabinets more to home consoles and thereby PC gaming. Nobunaga's Ambition was a game that released for the Sega Genesis, and that's largely considered to be the first grand strategy game, which is a genre that's primarily dominated by Paradox Interactive, but we'll get to those fuckboys later. Perhaps the most popular strategy game of all time would be Age of Empires, which released in 1997 for the PC, and it introduced millions of people, myself included, to the real-time strategy genre, which back in the late 90s, 2000s, was the biggest genre of strategy games known to man. It took over my life for a long time. It also inspired StarCraft, which took over South Korea and became their national pastime, followed closely by K-pop. 2000 rolls around, and we all realized that Y2K didn't happen. So we all have to put our energy into something. Well, lucky us. Here comes Creative Assembly with Shogun Total War. So now we can all pretend to be Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai. Even though that movie came out in 2003. And Tom Cruise is insane. What else came out in 2000? Europa Universalis, the first major release from Paradox Interactive. Remember those fuckboys that I was talking about? Yeah, they're back. For a lot of strategy gamers, 4X is king. And the king of 4X is Sid Meier. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, Sid saw what the popularity of games like SimCity, and he wanted to implement some of that omniscient, build it from the ground up to something great into a war game, and Civilization was what we got in 1991 for the PC. Civilization drops you off at the dawn of human history, and you're just, that's it. Build it up. Take over the world. Do it by culture, domination, leave this fucking planet because it fucking sucks. Why the hell is there the Great Barrier Reef not anywhere near some of the cities that I can found? What's the point? And then in the end, you just get nuked by Gandhi anyway, so fuck it. Civ 1, Civ 2, Civ 3, Civ 4, Civ 5, Civ 6, Civ Rev, Civ Battlefield Earth? Beyond Earth. I wouldn't mind playing a Civ Battlefield Earth. I think that would be fucking hilarious. Watch Battlefield Earth, it's fucking hilarious. All monumental games in their own right, except for Beyond Earth, because honestly, what the fuck was that? That was garbage. Get out of here with that. Now, Civ holds a dear place to my heart because it's not the game that you expect that spawned it. It was Civilization Revolution for the Xbox 360. I would play that game for countless hours after I got tired of playing Modern Warfare 2. After Infinity War nerfed all of my favorite guns, and every 13-year-old on the Eastern Seaboard told me that they slept with my mother, I just got tired of playing Modern Warfare 2, so I went and played a strategy game, and Civ Rev was what I played. For countless hours, I would just hammer the AI all night, and it still, to this day, gives me the same feeling when I play Civ 5, which is weird because Civ Rev is a game that most Civ purists thought it was a stripped-down, lazy cop-out. Now back to Paradox, because holy shit do I have to give them their love. CK2, Stellaris, Hoi 4, EU4, Vicky fucking 2, holy shit! How many other companies can point at their library and say, yeah, I think we fucking did it right, except for Imperator Rome, but we don't talk about Imperator. Greedy bullshit DLC structure aside, I have to give Paradox their props. No other company has made me more addicted to their IPs than Paradox has by leaps and bounds. From the moment I saw CK2, I said I could spend 1,000 hours in that game. Now, I'm still a ways off of that, but just between CK2, Hoi 4, and Vicky 3, I have over 800 hours in their games, and that's not including Stellaris or EU4. Paradox, for the love of God, if you let Victoria die, I will fly to Sweden and punch each and every one of you in the dick. I am not joking, it's been 10 years. Back when I was younger, every summer, I would spend some time in Ohio with some cousins of mine. And we would play things like Halo and Legos and go outside and jump on the trampoline, but I really wanted to be near the computer. Why? Because they had Rome Total War. Bear in mind, at the time, most games looked like this. Then here we are with hundreds of units lined up assaulting this castle with trebuchets launching 90-kilogram stones over 300 meters. 18 years since the original release of Total War, and the units have changed, but the trebuchets, they're still number one. Another cousin, this one from Virginia, introduced me to Age of Empires and thereby the real-time strategy genre. I would sit there and watch him for hours just play Age of Empires. I was enthralled by the units, the technology, the tactics, the blue Shelby Cobras, for fuck's sake. And from there, we moved on and played a game called Empires: Dawn of the Modern World, which was a lot like Age of Empires, but it went from ancient history to World War II and all the way in between. It had technology like bombers and snipers all the way down to Hwachas and guys sailing around on kites. Not to mention an 80,000 unit cap. How many units did Age of Empires have? 250? Get that pussy shit out of my face. But none of these games compare to my favorite strategy game of all time, Dragon Force for the Sega Saturn. A younger me did not come from a super well-off home. I only had an N64 and a Game Boy Color. Now granted, my N64 was Hey You Pikachu edition, just to flex on the haters on the playground. But I wasn't fortunate enough to have a PlayStation as well. So then one day my mom comes home with a bag, and in that bag was a Sega Saturn and a bunch of games that she bought off of a coworker because he didn't want it anymore. And they weren't bad games. I mean, I'm talking Virtua Fighter 2, Daytona Rally 98, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 76, Grid Runner, and Dragon Force. Bear in mind, I was like 9 when this came out. If it didn't have to do with Pokemon or GoldenEye or Super Smash Bros., I didn't give a shit about it. So honestly, my Saturn, it just kind of hung out on the sidelines for a long time. Because remember, the Genesis was still really popular at this time. The Sega Saturn, it was a failed console in America. For fuck's sake, Dragon Force only sold 150,000 copies. I don't think I actually set up the Saturn for a few years, and when I did, I went through all the games. Some of them were good, some of them kind of sucked, but then Dragon Force really hooked me. Dragon Force is a strategy RPG game set in the continent of Legendra. There's multiple different factions, each one of them with different kinds of units, and even then there's other units that you can discover like zombies, dragons, monks, harpies, archers, cavalry, soldiers. This shit just goes on, and each one of them has weaknesses and strengths. There's like 1,000 different generals. Some of them can die permanently. If you capture one, you can recruit them to your cause. If they're not happy, they can just up and fucking leave you, and if they have a massive army, guess what, fucker? They're going to the next guy. To this day, I still have fantastic memories about helping Junon, trying to get over the memory of her dad. There's Leon in the middle of the entire continent getting assaulted from all sides. There's the Beastmen in a perpetual war with the samurai to their north. The game was fucking amazing. To this day, it still sits in the system tray of my Sega Saturn waiting for me to play it again. In the 32-bit era, Dragon Force was like Red Dead 2 is today. Bear in mind, this was at a time of platformers, polygons, and triangles. Dragon Force comes in here with 200 characters on screen and magical effects. There was so much going on at any given time, it felt like watching a movie. The Saturn, for its time, had a surprisingly good anti-piracy software. So good that even today, we're still struggling to get through it so we can emulate their games. But recently, I found a Saturn emulator, which is now on my phone. You know what else is on my phone now? My favorite game, Dragon Force. Dragon Force spawned a lifelong love of strategy games that, in my young mind, I never thought I would give a shit about. All I cared about was Pokemon. I fell in love with Legendra, and I hated Madruk. To this day, I still have a feeling of accomplishment when a young kid finally played this long Japanese game and took down this evil demigod and saved the continent of Legendra. Domestic affairs fucking beckon, and fuck Goldark. If he keeps talking shit, my army of dragons is gonna come over there and I'll kick his ass back to the Sega Genesis. I just really wanted to do this video because I wanted to get more into longer form content. And I really wanted to get more knowledge and more information out there about a genre that I feel doesn't get enough love. Like you go to conventions and everybody there, I tell them that I play strategy games and it's like they looked at me like I have 3 fucking heads. If it's not a first-person shooter, a MOBA, or a battle royale these days, it seems as though nobody cares or nobody knows about it. But honestly, like with games like RimWorld and Civ 5 and XCOM 2 and Kenshi and Mountain Blade Warband, Bannerlord is coming soon. Who the fuck saw that coming? And of course, Dragon Force. Who needs Call of Duty?
Farewell, dear children. The future is yours.
The reign of the immortals thus ended, beginning the most exciting chapter in Legendra's history.